Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. You know, what's been going on lately with school shootings, the parade shooting the other day, a lot of people keep talking about what needs to be done to stop these mass shootings. And I'm going to use the term mass shootings instead of mass killings here because they want to focus on the tool, the guns. So they keep saying, what do we need to do to stop these mass shootings? Well, it's obvious we need to start trying to take away firearms. When that's not obvious at all, that doesn't solve any problems, isn't likely to stop any crimes or problems in this country. The things that we really need to do to stop most shootings or most mass shootings is simple. Now, first off, let's keep in mind that what most people think of as a mass shooting doesn't make up most mass shootings. Most what the media calls mass shootings these days are gang shootings or domestic violence. Those are going to be a little harder to take care of. It's going to involve a lot of social programs, a lot of issues being solved, a lot of problems in this country being taken care of. But there is one type of mass shooting, the ones that most people focus on and what they think of mostly when they think of a mass shooting, that we could very easily take care of and prevent most of them from happening. And that is where these young people go, off the deep end and shoot a bunch of other people, either at a school or a church or at a parade, whatever. They're like, oh my God, these kids are all starting to look the same now. All these perpetrators of these crimes, they all have a lot in common. Well, duh. That's because the things that we accept in society drive a lot of these fringe kids over the edge. And there's a really easy way we could stop that from happening. If you wanted to stop most of these, school shootings like Columbine and Parkland and this parade shooting, etc., there's just a few things that could be done. First off, in schools, we need to start focusing on the welfare of children. Not just education, but how well are they doing in that education system? Are they flunking out? Are they disenfranchised? Are they isolated? Are they just the weird kid? The people who run the system, the people in the schools, should be able to notice these issues and deal with them. Unfortunately, in schools these days, they don't. They say, okay, that's the weird kid. Hopefully everybody will just ignore him and he'll graduate and we'll get rid of him. Instead of just stepping in and saying, hey, we've noticed that maybe you're a little different. Not in a bad way. You're a weird kid, but, that's cool. You do you. Is there anything we can do to make, life easier for you while you're here at school? Are you having any problems, bullying, etc.? If teachers and faculty were more involved and actually did their jobs, we would have a lot less of these kids going over, like I said, the deep end. Now, I'm not trying to show a lot of sympathy for these kids because most kids have this kind of thing happen and they don't shoot up a school or a parade. But we still need to acknowledge that before they become monsters, they're usually victims. Victims of bullying, ostracization, the incels, all that stuff. So if teachers and administrators did their jobs, instead of acting like children themselves, and what I mean by that is I have seen so many instances where I've had to talk to teachers and say, you're supposed to be a fucking adult. Act like an adult. Many times I've had to do that. I've got kids in the school system. I'm also used to work professionally in the mental health field, dealing with mostly younger people. And I've had to go to teachers, even for homeless kids, and say, hey, how fucking old are you? I heard that when some other kids were making fun of him because he smelled in class because he's on the street, that when he got up and went to the bathroom, you did it too. His friend in his class told him that. He's heard you say bad things about him. You don't need to be a teacher. We need to start taking that seriously. There's so many teachers in the school system that instead of stopping bullying, they not only tolerate it, they perpetuate it. That's got to stop. if we would, in our school system, teach our kids, hey, you don't got to like every other kid. Hey, you ain't got to hang out with kids that weird you out. But you also don't have to be an asshole towards them. But like I said, so many times in school now, especially if they're richer kids or more athletic kids, not only is it tolerated when they bully other kids, but teachers join in with them because these teachers are trying to live out their fantasies of, I'm one of the cool kids and I'm getting to be one of the kids that picks on other kids. That's such bullshit, but it happens all the time in the education system. And I'm sorry, if you are a teacher and if anyone finds out you have been ridiculing a child or doing anything that is detrimental to their mental or physical well-being, you should be fired immediately. And I know that people are going to say, well, we can't do that because teachers get paid so little that we can't get good teachers. Well, then change the system, start paying them better, get good teachers. If it's worth it to save just one child, well, then do it. You preach that all the time, so raise teachers' pay. Get better teachers. Get better administrators. You know, one thing we could do is cut down the upper management of schools. I swear to God, I've gone to school districts here where there are you go into a high school and there's 8 to 10 assistant vice principals who do nothing but sit around in an office, act like jerks, and then coach the football team. We don't need that. I've been to districts where there are 5 or 6 superintendents. You know, there's the main superintendent, then there's the assistant superintendent that does this, and the assistant superintendent that does that. And best I can figure, when I added up what all of them did together, it came to about 5 hours work a week. So we could really slim down the system, pay teachers better. And if teachers do anything that is detrimental to the health of a child, mental or physical, they're gone. That's one of the biggest problems now, bullying in our schools. If you look at all these kids, they've been bullied. They've been ostracized. They've been isolated. They feel like there's nothing good in their life. They're always going to be the weird kid that no one likes. You know how much better it would be for a child's well-being, even if he didn't hang out with the popular kids and they weren't like buddies. But if every time he passed them in the hallway, because a system of acceptance and non-tolerance of bullying was in place and educators and administrators were actually teaching children how to interact with each other properly, if every time he passed the star quarterback of the school, instead of getting punched or his books knocked out of his hands, he got a high five, you know how much difference that would make in a kid's life and how far it would go to preventing these types of things from happening because kids don't get pushed further and further over the edge? Would go a long way. If they were being treated properly by teachers, being treated properly by their peers, would stop a lot of this. And it's a simple thing to do. That's not even hard. We're not even saying, hey, let's fix everyone's mental health issues. Just making them feel like they're still people, even if they're not the most popular person. You know, it's like I said, all these kids are fitting into the same profile. So let's figure out how do we keep that from happening. When we looked at the Parkland shooting, remember back when they were doing the interviews with the kids, they were like, oh yeah, we always said he was going to be a school shooter. We used to tease him all the time that he was a weirdo that was going to shoot up the school. And everyone was like, oh yeah, they knew. I was like, what the fuck? These kids basically just said, yeah, we were making his life miserable. Some of the kids even said the other teachers knew, yeah, he's likely to be a school shooter. Why are those teachers engaging in that kind of conversation about a kid? And why are the other kids being allowed to torture him for something he hasn't done? Of course, if you're going to be tortured and ostracized for something you didn't do, you might as well get the fame that goes along with doing it. That's how a lot of kids that age think. So stop this garbage. Stop this culture of bullying. Oh, it's just toughen them up. They got to be boys. They got to be tough. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's a bunch of adults taking out their own frustrations and their own inadequacies on younger kids. And it's a bunch of teachers, like I said, now trying to live out their fantasies of being the popular kid in high school. That's got to stop. Another thing, speaking of health care and high fives, would it hurt every great once in a while? These incel, these ostracized, outcast, weird kids. Would it hurt for some of you slutty girls out there to give them a hand job every now and then? I mean, come on, we know you're doing it. So, do it. Take one for the team. Do it for the outcast. That one act could be the difference between him, just growing up, living a normal life, and going off the deep end and shooting you and all your cheerleader squad. So, think of it as a transaction. You don't have to be like, hey, we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend now. Just go, hey, this is just a business transaction. Might as well teach them what marriage is like right now. So those things, just, schools and society in general, realizing that bullying is not a right of manhood. It's basically torture, and it creates monsters. If, like I said, kids could survive in a school environment without worrying about being bullied, just get a high five every now and then instead of their book slapped out of their hands, a lot of these problems would be solved. And, get the occasional hand job. It leaves a lot of stress. I mean, even the really weird kids, they're still kids. 17, 18 years old, they're not, it's not like they're the grossest thing in the world. A lot of these popular girls, let me tell you right now, once you grow up and you get older and your opportunities become slimmer and slimmer, you're probably going to do worse. So just be nice. Give the occasional hand job. I got no problem with it whatsoever. We're not asking you to blow them or have a baby. Just 5 minutes of your time. I guarantee you, it won't even be more than 1 minute of your time. So consider it, just as from one adult talking to others out there. And also remember, a lot of these kids that are weird in school and kind of stick away from the crowd, a lot of those also have sexual identity issues. So you're probably going to be told, no, thank you, when you offer them a hand job. But just being offered is probably going to make them feel so much better about themselves. And like I said, getting a high five from the school athlete, going to make them feel even better about themselves. Having teachers that teach them properly to where they feel safe in school and not tortured in school, going to go a long way to stopping the system from churning out these kids. The system doesn't serve these kids. It ignores them, and it often tortures them. It joins in with the bullying and the ostracization and the isolation and making them feel weird. And I'm not saying you can't make them feel different. You can't let them feel different. You can acknowledge that they're different. I mean, like I said, the high school quarterback said to some kid, boy, you're weird, aren't you? You're not like everybody else, and that's cool. Good for you, man. You be you. You know how much different that would make in a person's life? A lot. So we go around acting like these problems are unsolvable, and that the only way we're going to solve them is to take guns away from everybody, when that's not the case, because most of these problems are very solvable. The only problem is no one's going to get rich doing it. In fact, it's going to cost some money. But if you act like it's worth it for a little bit of safety in this country to take away everyone's freedom, well, isn't it worth spending a little bit of money and hiring teachers that actually treat kids like human beings and teach kids how to treat other kids like human beings? Seems to me like that would be well worth it. But unfortunately, so many people are just centered on taking away guns instead of actually taking care of the kids that end up getting their hands on those guns and doing bad things because of the way society has treated them. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I know that rant went a little long and was a little rambling, but, if it wasn't, it wouldn't be me. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I do appreciate you sitting through these rants, even though I know most of you fast forward through a lot of it. Still, I appreciate you coming. I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I want to remind everyone out there to always carry and stay safe until I see you again.